Hi guys, I'm Melissa and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a beautiful day so far. The new year is almost here and the number one personal goal, the number one New Year's resolution in our modern world is weight loss. Now you may be excited to have a fresh new year, to start some healthy habits and make really big, lasting, positive change. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you tiny little tweaks, tiny little easy to implement habits that can actually make a really significant impact on your weight loss without taking a ton of discipline or a ton of energy or time. And I know it's tempting at the beginning of a new year because you want a fresh start to create these massive goals like I'm going to completely eradicate packaged and processed foods from my diet, or I'm not going to dine out at all. I'm just going to cook healthy meals at home. I'm going to do food prepping. I'm going to prepare as much as I can so that I can just live my healthiest life. And what happens is sometimes when we set these really, really big goals is that it just takes so much discipline that you can only make it like a week or 2 weeks before something happens, life happens, and you feel like you've fallen off that wagon, and then it can be really discouraging because you're disappointed in yourself. You feel like you've, broken a promise that you made to yourself, and then you kind of give up until, a few months goes by and you think about it again, or maybe not until the next December when you're ready to set more New Year's resolutions. So instead of giving yourself this really, really big task of being quote unquote perfect with your diet, I want to just share some easy changes that you can make that are going to kind of take the pressure off. But if you stick with them for several months, you can actually see some really significant results. It's all about the baby steps. Okay, so the first one has to do with breakfast. Okay, so for breakfast, if you're currently having something like peanut butter and jam on toast, or dried breakfast cereals, or maybe you just grab a granola bar on your way to work, I want you to swap that out for cooked oatmeal with fresh berries, frozen berries, or sliced banana. I know this might seem like a simple, tiny change, and you might not realize how it can result in weight loss that is going to be noticeable, but cooked old-fashioned or steel-cut oats have just over 300 calories per pound versus dried breakfast cereals, which are at 1,800 calories per pound. That's a massive difference. And you're not going to see a difference in your weight after doing this for 1 week, maybe not even for 2 weeks. But if you make this one tiny swap a habit and you start having oatmeal with fruit for breakfast, over time, in the next couple of months, this could result in a few pounds of weight loss just from making that one change. And again, oatmeal is very filling, so you're not going to have to be hungry in order to make this change. It's not going to take that much discipline. It's not going to cost any more money. It's just one simple swap that can really result in a difference in your weight. Because cooked oatmeal absorbs all of that water and is high in fiber, it's so much less densely packed with calories per bite than dried, packaged, processed foods like breakfast cereals, granola bars, protein bars, and so on. Number 2, commit to stop drinking your calories. So this includes stopping for Starbucks and getting sugary coffee drinks. This includes ditching alcohol, or at least dramatically reducing the amount of alcohol you consume. Soda, pop, that is just full of sugar, full of calories, and no fiber. It's not filling up your stomach. It's not replacing a meal at all. It's just giving you a ton of calories and a ton of sugar or aspartame intake. And also this includes fruit juices. Fruit is very healthy. I highly encourage you increasing the amount of fruit that you intake in your diet, but fruit juice, because that fiber has been removed, is not going to fill you up in the same way that having whole fruit would, and it's just giving you a bunch of calories and a boost of sugar into your bloodstream. The exception to drinking your calories is smoothies, because smoothies still contain the fiber. It's just blended up. It is easier to drink a bunch of calories from a smoothie than it is to take the time to chew an apple, for example. So yes, smoothies are a bit more calorie dense than having the whole fruit. But the thing I do like about having smoothies is that you can throw a ton of dark leafy greens in there. So if you're not really a salad person, or you find that it's difficult for you to get enough dark leafy green vegetables, smoothies can be great for that. I know it sounds like an easy thing to do in principle, but it can be challenging. So if you feel like you can't quit all of these sugary beverages at once, even just committing to stopping one of them, say swapping out your sugary coffee drinks for having herbal tea, or swapping out the soda for having lemon or lime water. You can also do infusions where you get a big jug, a big glass jug at home, and then get some berries, or sometimes people like to cut up cucumbers and lemon and lime and just dunk that in the water, leave it there for an hour or so, and your water will be infused with the flavors of those fruits or the cucumbers, and it tastes really nice and much, much healthier than having sodas. All right, you might not want to hear this next one, but it can make a huge difference to your weight loss progress, save you money, and just be so much healthier for you. And it is to dine out less. Ideally, if you can cut the amount of times that you go out to a restaurant or take takeout in half, this would be fantastic and would really yield you some good results over time. And like I said, save you money. Now, you might be thinking, well, I order healthy options. I get, healthy vegetable stir fries when I go out to restaurants. But more times than not, even when you ask to have no oil, there somehow always is oil in restaurant food. And oil is almost 4,000 calories per pound. So when you are having food that is deep fried or drizzled with oil or has oily sauces and dressings on it, which restaurants are notorious for because they want you to love their food so that you can come back and spend more money with them, you're consuming so many more calories than if you were just to eat those, healthy foods on their own without all of that. So when you're at home, you're preparing your food, you know exactly what's going into each dish that you make. You can control it 100%. But when you're at a restaurant, it's very challenging to make sure that you're sticking with this healthy, low calorie density way of eating. So you kind of just have to hope for the best and hope that what you're eating doesn't contain a ton of added oil, sugar, and salt. Now figure out how you can implement this in your life that actually works and is something that you can stick with. So say you like to go for a girls' night with your friends and you go out for dinner and drinks and you have a lot of high calorie, oil-packed meals. Instead of doing that once a week, why don't you do that once every 2 weeks, so you're cutting that in half, and on the other week, have someone over to your house, have your friends over to your house, and you can prepare a meal there that you can control and make sure that you haven't added all that oil to your own dish. I know dining out can be a really fun aspect of your social life, so I'm not trying to be unrealistic and say that you can never go to restaurants. It's more about just being aware of what you're consuming when you do dine out, and if you can cut the amount of times that you're getting takeout and by preparing lunches for yourself before you go to work, these little tiny changes can really, really add up and make a big difference. All right, the next tip is to learn to snack on fruit and to fall in love with fruit. Now, whole fruit is only anywhere from 200 to 300 calories per pound, with a couple exceptions like bananas, which are 400 calories per pound. But again, on this low calorie density way of eating, we stick with foods that are under 700 calories per pound. So fruit is very low on that list. It's full of water, it's full of fiber, neither of which contain any calories, and it's delicious. So it's a fantastic snack. So when you're sitting on the couch and you're like, oh, I really want to, have something yummy to eat, and you're thinking about cookies or whatever it may be, if you've got a delicious fruit salad, a tropical fruit salad that you've made already in advance, go and give yourself a big bowl of that. You can put some mango, you can put papaya, you can put pineapple, kiwi fruit. Fall in love with fruit. You can think outside of the standard apple and banana. Pick your favorite fruits. Pick the ones that taste like dessert for you. I really like to get dark, sweet cherries, and I get the frozen bag at Walmart or Safeway or whatever grocery store that I happen to be shopping at, and I like to have that in my freezer because I can blend it up with a frozen banana and make like a vegan nice cream, which tastes like ice cream. You can put some vanilla extract in there. You can get frozen berries. You can get frozen peach slices, which are delicious. And just whatever fruit you like, go crazy, enjoy it, with the exception of dried fruits, because when you dry fruits out, you're removing the water and the calorie density goes way up. When it comes to snacking, I know we like convenience. It's easy to just rip open a bag of chips or open up a box of cookies. But if you can prepare fruit salads for yourself and make sure you have ripe fruit on hand all the time in your home, then it makes it a really easy and convenient snack as well that is super, super healthy and will definitely aid in your weight loss if you're swapping that in instead of the higher calorie packed cookies, chips, and all of that stuff. As someone who's been a vegan for a long time, I know it can be really tempting to go for the rich vegan desserts that are made of nut butters rolled up with chopped up dates and maple syrup and all of this stuff, but those are maybe not necessarily unhealthy, but they're just packed with fat. They're packed with calories. Yes, they're extremely delicious, and there may be a place for them on occasion as a treat, but if it's something that you're reaching for after dinner every night, it's definitely not helping you with your weight loss goal at all, and I just highly recommend reaching for the fruit instead. All right, tip number 5 is an easy one, and this is something that I highly recommend if you're someone who is short on time and you always have the intention of doing batch cooking or meal prepping and it just never seems to happen. This is so easy to do. When you are making your dinners, say you're making a chili dish or a soup or some sort of a veggie potato casserole, whatever it is that you're making for dinner, double the amount that you're making. That's it. That's the trick. You might think, well, how's that going to help me lose weight? Well, a lot of the times when we reach for fast food or we reach for the easy option like dialing for pizza, it's because we just don't have time to make dinner. But if you made extra dinner last night and you've got that in the fridge ready to eat, then worst comes to worst, if you're starving and it's dinner time the next night, you've got your dinner that you can just warm up and eat today. So there's less of an excuse to go and reach for easier packaged, junky, or takeout type of food. So hopefully that makes sense. So I think you can start to notice a trend here in a lot of these tips, and that is to make life easier on yourself. Make healthy eating and make your weight loss kind of set it on automatic. Make it easy by preparing, by tiny little swaps that don't take a ton of effort. So by prepping yourself in advance for the times when life does get hectic or you only have 15 minutes to get something for dinner, if you prep for that in advance and you've maybe frozen down some extra dinners that you've made and you can say, well, worst comes to worst, I'm microwaving that and I'm having that as my dinner. At least you know you haven't gone off plan and you haven't started the cycle of ordering pizza every other night or stopping for tacos or whatever it may be. So this is just about preparation and tiny, tiny, easy, simple hacks. So basically what you're doing is you're gonna make leftovers on purpose. This is also a great option for lunches the next day. And this can help you avoid stopping off for lunch at, a fast food place or a takeout place, and you're, again, eating something healthy. All right, so the next tip is a watered down tip from Chef AJ. Now, Chef AJ always teaches that, cleaning up your environment and getting the junk food out of your house is key to sticking with healthy eating. She says, if it's in your house, it's in your mouth. Now, a lot of the people that I coach often say it's unrealistic for me to get rid of all the packaged and processed food in my house. I have kids or my husband, they like to snack on these things, and I can't just tell them to never bring cookies home or never have crackers or never have chips at home or peanuts, pretzels, whatever. And I completely understand that. So something that you can do, now this is very easy to do, and again, this is gonna take you being really honest with yourself. It is to identify the 1 or 2 biggest temptations in your fridge, freezer, and pantry. The 1 or 2 things that if I've got this in my house, I am eventually going to eat that. So it might be ice cream for you, or maybe it's chocolate chip cookies, whatever it is, that thing that you kind of reach for after dinner. Maybe you've already had your healthy fruit, maybe you've done all the healthy things, but there's like this one thing that almost just feels like it's so tempting and it just sabotages all of your healthy intentions. Commit to not bringing that into your home. So now I'm not telling you don't bring any packaged or processed food. I'm just saying, can you start by just saying, I'm not gonna buy that favorite flavor of ice cream anymore and tempt myself with that in my freezer? Because when you're bringing it into your home, it's kind of like always there. It's always calling you. Every time you kind of feel like, oh, I might wanna munch on something yummy, that's there and it's there. And it just, if it's not in your house, it just becomes so much easier to reach for something healthy. So, for me, my favorite dessert of all time is like vegan vanilla cupcakes. Like I love cupcakes. You know, Whole Foods has now like a whole kind of area of all the vegan treats and things, and I kind of just need to stay away from it because I know that if I had a beautiful tray of vegan vanilla cupcakes just in my house, it wouldn't be long before I would get into them. Like it would be pretty hard to avoid eating that if I could smell it and see it all the time. So I just don't bring that home. I don't have that as an option in my house. And so that's a really, really easy tweak that you can do to get yourself to reach for healthier options, is to make sure that your most tempting treats are nowhere in sight. This is something that you can identify right now and you can take action on immediately. If you've got it in your house, give it to someone else, get rid of it, and just commit to not buying that thing anymore, because you're just making it way harder on yourself and it's completely counterproductive to your health and weight loss goals this year. All right, my last tip is for when the temptation to eat junk food is just too strong and you know you're gonna do it, and you feel like there's nothing you can do to stop yourself from eating that big piece of cake or from ripping into those chips. This is your kind of last ditch effort to make a semi-healthy choice, because again, life happens, we're not perfect, none of us are. So before you follow that impulse to go and reach for the chips, before you do that, say, okay, that's it, I've decided I'm going to have some of the chips, I'm going to have that cookie or whatever it is. But before you do, reach for something healthy and make yourself eat that healthy thing. So that could just be something like, I'm gonna have that piece of vegan cheesecake, but before I do, I'm gonna eat an entire apple first. Or I'm gonna go and have a banana. Or I'm gonna have a few more bites of that chili that I made for dinner, that healthy, potato and bean and veggie chili. I'm gonna just warm that up, eat a small bowl of that first, and then I'm gonna allow myself to have that dessert. What this does is you're gonna reduce the amount that you eat of that junk food, or at least you're gonna be that much more likely to reduce the amount. You might actually find that after eating that apple, you're satiated and you're fine and you've had enough of a sweet flavor that you feel like, you know what? I'm actually not as hungry for that, or my craving for that junk food isn't as strong as I thought it was. It may be, and you may still decide to have it, but this is just such a great habit to get into. You can also do this when you're out. So say you're at a party and there's all of these delicious desserts that you want to indulge in. Say, all right, I'm gonna allow myself to have some of that, but before I do, I'm gonna go have some of that salad or that fruit salad or that, veggie dish, whatever it may be. Fill your stomach up with the fiber and the water of these healthy whole plant foods first. It's gonna make you feel a bit full, because when you're hungry and there's your favorite junk food right there, that's just a recipe for disaster when it comes to completely overindulging. It's not just about the, overindulging, because at the end of the day, one day of having, some snacks and some treats or whatever, it's not the end of the world, you'll be fine. But it's the way it makes you feel. It's the hit on your self-esteem when you've been so excited about following a whole food plant-based way of eating, a healthy way of eating, and you've taken the time to watch videos like this. You've taken the time to find all of these healthy recipes on Pinterest, and you've spent all that money on your groceries that are all healthy and organic and natural. And then you go and do something that is so against what you said you were gonna do. It just doesn't feel good on the inside, and it can be very derailing, it can be very demotivating, and it can also lead you to feel like, well, what's the point? And that's the whole point of this video, is to not get you to be either 100% in your diet, or else you failed, you're a failure, you're a loser, you're not someone who is gonna be able to stick with anything. Like, I don't want you to have that negative hit on your self-esteem that many people get 1, 2, 3 weeks into the new year when they've already fallen off of their plan. So this is just about steady wins the race, long-term thinking. This is not about how do I lose 30 pounds in 30 days? Or how do I fit into a dress for my daughter's wedding? Or how do I get my bikini body for my Los Cabos vacation? This is not about that, because we all know that after you reach that point, if it's done in an unsustainable way, you just bounce right back and you rebound and you go and eat all the junk food because you had to starve yourself to get to that point, or do things that are just not realistic for your lifestyle long term. This is about doing tiny little changes, tiny positive tweaks that you can literally do for the rest of your life without feeling like you're overexerting yourself or having to use a ton of willpower and discipline. And you'd be surprised if you implement even one or just a couple of these tips that I shared, the difference that you could see in your body, in how you feel, in how you look in 6 months from now. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of the year and a fantastic start to the new year. I will see you in my next video. And if you're not yet following me on Instagram, it's at MelissaAlexandria01. I'm also now on TikTok and it's just at MelissaAlexandria. And you can also click the alert bell so that you're alerted of my future uploads. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.